battling of colors, although there is actually non-violence, spiritual leadership, diplomacy between borders. It's like you have borderline. You draw lines between different borders. Or you like Alzheimer, or you park in the sunlight. How do you use your brain? How interwebbed is your brain? Universes, universities, sites, signs, and science, magic, and imagination, and rules and laws. It seems like that these politics need a bit more guidance. You know, maybe I'm sitting onto a throne, maybe I don't know. And that's actually not important, because I never go anywhere. But this battling of colors, and I'm stressing non-violence a lot, because if you fight, you only fight against yourself. That's very stupid. If you go into a ring, which is actually a square, or an octagon, or maybe, and that's what we might invent with the honeycomb thing, it's an hexagon. It's magical. And it's a comic book. People should decide for them. And I basically should not speak. Manly P. Hall. Currency. Money. Now, in ancient days, you would have a table, which would be your bank, and onto that bank you would exchange your currency when you go to different countries. This is because you have borderlines in your brain, and you think, well, in this country we deal with that, in that country we deal with this. And that's certainly true, because we have different cults. And you would go there and you would exchange your currency. It's like, okay, I deal with this, I deal with that. Not knowing that in the end, you would only deal with your own body, because it's about electromagnetism and you flux that through you. That's basically what's going on. So you deal with the force, you deal with the four elements. Now, but what basically happens is, this is why also in China, paper money is not really worth a lot or anything. Because if you would set it on fire, it would not really burn. It's actually burning less than paper. So you would not get real energy out of it. Then talking about hard coins, if you die, you go to the hall where your soul is measured, or it's putting weight on. Actually, it's putting no weight on, but it's calculated how much good were you doing for others, for society, how much good you were doing for self, and maybe the balance in between that. And then I figure out, well, I was doing a lot of shit, I was doing a lot of good things, finding balance in between, I was doing nothing. But basically I was doing a lot. Now, hard coins were made out of copper, silver, or gold because they would flux electromagnetism through it. Because in this grid games, Matrix, in this net, there is currency all around us. It's always there. That's what Nikola Tesla, if this guy even existed, I don't know, was figuring out. It was talking about free energy. Take a look into a tree. How is the tree shaped? And now take a look into an antenna. Take a look into your hair. That's the same thing. And you would flux things through you. Energy, information. You would have this channel. But because your brain is so much borderlined, and maybe you're not parking in the sun. Well, I'm parking in the shadows a lot last months, but this is causing, you might think, Jan, you're completely insane. How much drugs do you do? Well, actually, none and all, because everything is just an alchemical process. Well, not, but for real. Energy is fluxed through the tree. So through your 33, if you're a Christ, we're talking about your ascension. So for all the Christians out there, Christian Bales and Batmans, good men, if you would like to be Christ, we're talking about the cerebral spinal fluid. We're talking about the Christ ascension within. Jesus ain't coming for you if you don't turn into Jesus for yourself. That's what's up. Go to your church. The real church is already here. The cross. It's your body. So master your body. If you master your body, you master your environment. You master everything around you. Because it was attracted through the subconscious mind and the conscious and the interaction and wherever. So I was a lot in the shadows. And that's also a great thing. People are like, hey, you have to go to the light. You have to go to the light. True. But when you carried enough light in you, you get a certain lamp. It's what also the Egyptians had, they had these lamps, which were self-generating power out of them. And the real lamp, the real light is already in you. Talking about alchemy. And Orion's belt. So, if you carried enough light, you can go into the dark. Then you can do stuff in there, and then it eventually grows. It's the same principle like nature does, because you are nature. So, this is a monopoly game. A city, Gotham City, for example, or through stress, through darkness, through things that you don't like, you get maybe let's say dark energy, and that you can transmute. That's basically what alchemy, the masters of alchemy did. You transmute that internally into gold already. You have to do nothing for that, but then also spiritually, and that's what has been lost in the schools, in the skulls, in the educational system, and is also mirrored then up into the complete society, because people they haven't learned that. It's like, Jan, where do you know that from? Well, I don't have to give you any source, because I am the source, and so are you. If you just know, you just know. If you get to a certain level, you write a certain book. You may be 60 years old. You write a book, and you may be a professor, PhD, a doctor, and I will be that. You know, I would, like in Tintenherz or you know, all these old bibliothecas, whatever. They write certain books. And you know what? How much energy I put into these videos and I put into this process of shamanism. It's like, what's shamanism? Well, it's the complete thing. Take a look into that. We were doing that. There was in balance and movement. And it was red and white. It's like, oh, red and white. You know, like I said, the full color spectrum. So spiritual leadership. And that's why I also call myself a shaman. Because I give a lot of care for all of you. Let me tell you that. Same time, oh, House of Lifestyle. And they were like building mans and like Osiris, you know, who's basically forming humans. But I don't care if you put me onto a throne or if you're like, oh, you do that, or you put me into complete darkness and you're like, okay, self-destroy yourself. It's like, whatever. All right. So, but it seems to me that in this society that where we live in, just p-holes need a lot of guidance towards themselves, because nobody have really learned that. And where you know that from, yeah? Well, I was just, Günther told me a lot of things. I was learning a lot of things through my own process of physiotherapy, ergotherapy, judo, karate, kickboxing, Kalaripayattu, Muay Thai, kinetic yoga. And you know what all of this is? I was telling that like 2 years ago when this Christ CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, Christ Ascension video. It's move mind. You move your mind towards new things. Hermeticism. It's like pro-Schwitz. You know, fuck this whole dumb ass Nazi thing where you think like, oh, they were doing this or whatever. It's his story and my story, which is my story. So master yourself. That's what all I can give you. Oh, Drohnenbegutachtung. It's like, yeah, everything becomes very digital. That's cool to me. That's cool to you. I joined that. But you know what? Know yourself. And that's why I am, you know, like fusing, interacting with technology. Although sometimes I think, you know, it's good, you know, we make it better, hopefully. Advance the minds, advance the society. Because in this material things, you're like, you know, I like to have a good device. Same time, analog things will be a lot cooler, would be a lot smoother, they will be a lot more original. But these things make it more easy, you know, and then basically it's like the talk matters. Get it? The word, the wisdom, the spiritual work. That's what's up. And maybe I'll do more flip chart series or whiteboard series to illustrate that better. But basically, you know, I see that happening because all these battles of colors in politics that I observe here, they are putting out, you know, there's a party which is called the Pirate Party. Interesting, right? But you know, I'm like, all right, pirates are cool, but so is every other color and every other being. So just fluxing that through. Oh, yeah, then we have the V party, which is actually green, not red like Vendetta. And they're like, okay, veganism. Oh, great thing. Actually, it will make things more plasticized, but wherever. So the Pirate Party said we need more transparency. Guess what I was writing down in one of the conclusions of my AB, like vinyl. Transparency, make things more clear. But at the same time, now I see like, okay, everything is becoming very clear. Now people can operate more onto the mind. But at the same time, we live in this densified things here. Do stuff with it, That's why I say, no, shamanism. I don't say John Breatharian or John Fruitarian or John Carnivore or John whoever. If you have a society, or if you have a world, that's actually your home, your own. And currency is an exchange of goods. Manly P. Hall. It's an exchange of values. You have your table in front of you where you put your cards upon, so you basically deal with magic. And you deal like with alchemy because you ingest certain things and you're like, okay, these things have that effect. You go to certain universities which tell you something about life, obviously, but it's not really sourced. It's not really going in deep. So because a lot of books were burned, a lot of knowledge was burned. So these decans, these professors who sit on top of the universities, they mirror down to the university what is been told to the pupil. So I question all the freaking Oxford, whoever, where you come from what kind of animal. You come from an ox, you're coming from Prince, wherever you come from. How is your brain working? And I know that in these elite universities, they deal with magic, obviously. You deal all with the occult things. But you don't teach that. Why don't you teach that? If you know something, if you know the best things, you should tell them. You should tell them if you know the best things. No, these people don't deserve it. It might be too dangerous. Well, I mean, always depends on the teacher, right? I love you. Shamanism, universalism, no-ism. But no-ism, but I am. Self-realizations, yeah. Teach the magic. Do the magic. We stand over here. Oh, all these motorcycles here for public transportation. Transportation. Yo, travel internally. That's what I can tell you. Spiritual guidance. I could teach you how to reconnect yourself to the spirit. That's all you need. You need a certain cube, which would be your flat, or which would be your house, but your actual temple, talking about your body, could ascend from. And that's all you could, do all your foods, do all your Yeah, I have pink hands right now and cleaning that. I see that in my reflections. Cleaning, pink gloves and cleaning. But that's all you need, ascend yourself. Ascend, that's it, Pick up any god or figure you like and then be like, okay, that figure is what I seem to like. I like Jesus. I like whoever, prophet. I like certain musicians. And these people are like, ascend in, connect, and then sometime download. Bachelor, master, future PhD, future prof, future shaman. Let's see how the story goes. Write down your own bibliotecas.